Thabiso Ramasike, the Executive Chairman from Tuleka Group, joins me now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. We're hearing over and over again that small businesses, family businesses, are going to help us get out of this 27.5% unemployment rate of ours. What do you need to consider if you're thinking about starting a business?
Thank you, Nzinga. Good afternoon to you and to your listeners at home. I mean, there's quite a number of things that that are quite important when one is considering starting a business. I mean, 27.5 unemployment, which is skyrocketing, which is a lot bigger, especially in the youth population. It's quite clear that formal employment is not going to be the way out for South Africa. But fundamentally, really, it's about how one is able to look at the opportunity to solve a problem. Fundamentally, that's why you have a business person out there. So it's not just about somebody going into the platform or the world of business without an intent of coming up with a solution. And that really is a fundamental part. The DNA of an entrepreneur is a very different one. Not every single person out there can basically become an entrepreneur, but to get into the field, you got to do your homework. That's quite fundamental. Have a problem to solve and find a market. Mm-hmm. So those are very, very important key things to look at initially.
People watching might say you've left out a step when it comes to funding and making sure that your business can run for a specific amount of time. A lot of people who are trying to get into business say funding their business is a major obstacle to them realizing their dreams or solving any of those problems that you mentioned.
Now, funding is a very, very important point to put on the table. But the problem is that, especially in South Africa, when we think about funding, we always think about something big. Funding, if you look at organizations like First Rand, the roots of First Rand Bank are actually from a 10,000 Rand loan. So you can start small and over a period of time find ways of how you're able to grow as an entity. There are many mechanisms, obviously, of raising funding. The informal version where you go and interface with individuals, family members, and so on, or the formal structure. And I think at the moment, the formal structures, banks, the development finance institutions are not necessarily quick enough to respond to the needs of the entrepreneur. So there's a huge need for greater creativity, especially around how do you raise funds privately. So it's quite a challenge in that avenue, and that's a reality. But I think it's all about starting small. If you really are certain about the problem that you're solving, you've done your homework, the reality is you're going to have investability.
I'm glad you brought up the issue of creativity, because an issue that we're focusing on a lot these days is the fourth industrial revolution.
Correct.
And how it's going to affect us, how we work in every aspect of our lives.
Correct.
A lot of people are scared that jobs will be taken from them by artificial intelligence, by robots. But we've been told by entrepreneurs like Jack Ma, by the World Economic Forum, that the fourth industrial revolution is actually a way of increasing jobs and our potential for jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I think if there's one word that has been overrated and in some avenues highly misunderstood, is the whole notion of the fourth industrial revolution and how we as South Africa play our role proactively in that particular arena. And I think the reality is things are changing, and that's why we had the first industrial revolution. There's going to be the fifth one if we think that we can do anything to bypass the fourth industrial revolution. And that is the reality, just humanity. And I think as a country and as a people, as a continent, we really got to find a way of saying, how do we continue to evolve? There are huge opportunities, as you had indicated, around fourth industrial revolution. And it is really fundamentally about how we are able to become more efficient. In a South African space, where in the past couple of years, I think maybe if not months, we've really been having safety issues. So when you put AI in that particular environment, you can be able to drive issues of improvement of safety. But needless to mention, in a development environment, it's really around how we are able to include all the role players in understanding what the role of artificial intelligence, fourth industrial revolution entails in businesses. I mean, in Japan, everything that you do in terms of production means or producing anything, you include all the key role players. I think we don't do enough in this country, and that's why labor unions will always feel isolated, because there's not enough understanding as to all the shareholders, the management, the communities involved, as well as labor. What is our role in making sure that we don't get left behind in the fourth industrial revolution before the fifth one comes in and buzzes in?
Thabiso Ramasike, thanks so much for your time on SABC News, a discussion that I think we can continue having for a while.
Thank you.